back to Jeff Kenangan live here at Citizen Television. Goodness gracious me, there's so many people writing in, texting in, WhatsApping in. They're just fascinated because, let's face it, gentlemen, with 100 years of history amongst you, and then put in my other 30, so that's 130 years. We haven't had a state funeral in this country for 42 years, you know that? I mean, Lucy Kibaki, sort of a state funeral, right? But not quite. This is a politician who grew up amongst us, and this is the first time since 1978. So it's a big deal. It's a very big deal, and that's why we're remembering former President Daniel Arap with Yusuf Washira, Lin Jiru, and Mutegi Njau. Gentlemen, real quick, there's so many questions, but let me just ask you two real quick. Number one, when you guys were covering former president, those days there was no WhatsApp, there was no digital, they couldn't track your phone. You know, NIS couldn't do that. You had special branch, and those guys were nasty. Those guys were not very pleasant. Would they follow you in bars? Would they follow you in hotels? Would they follow you around, Mutegi?
Oh, yes.
Were they obvious? Could you tell?
You could tell. You could tell. Like, for instance, when Wahama Mutai was arrested in the newsroom of Nation, they came and they called me. They said, I used to sit in front of the desk of Wahome.
Wahome was the guy who did the Whispers column,
yes,
remember?
Yes.
Whispers, for those of you.
Wahame Mutai was sitting behind me. So they came and said, are you Wahome Mutegi? No, I said, my name is Mutegi Njau. You know, guys in plain clothes.
Yes.
I thought it was his sister. So I said, Wahome is that one. So he went and called him and said, hey, we want to see you. And he got out. That was the last time we saw him. He was detained after that.
No.
So they were following him, even in bars. Even, you couldn't even, you know, in bars at Sanchik, they would come there. You could not even talk. You talked when you were looking at this.
National Theatre.
I remember when Wahome came from detention and we went to buy him a drink.
Yeah.
He could not believe it was.
How long was he detained?
3 months, I think.
3 months.
He was drinking, you know. He could not believe that.
Are you serious?
Look at special branch. They've come to Nation as a matter of routine.
Yusuf, what about you?
It was the same because, for example, I used to personally loved covering theatre at the National Theatre, Activities National Theatre. So from National Theatre in the evening, after leaving the newsroom in the evening through time, and I'll go to get my bath at Gill House. I was living in South Sea then. And then we would socialize with a few colleagues from KBC, then from Kenya Times, and then us three. Now we would part, the people at Gill House would part company after socializing a cup of tea works. Those people going to Otiende, Langata Road, Nairobi West, and another group going to Eastlands, and the other one going on Gong Road, using Gong Road. So that's why we part company. And I remember Solomon Mugera, who is in BBC
Solomon,
now.
yes.
Solomon Mugera. There was Mado.
Mado, yeah.
Mado, the cartoonist. There was Wahome himself, and the late Mike of KBC, the Ching 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 man, Mike Murithi. Mike Murithi, the Ching Ching boy. There were people going to Eastlands. And then on Langata Road, there was myself, there was a thespian, Tini Njoroge, and there was, he was the PA from Davadi. What was his name?
Kibisu
Kabatesi.
Yes. Still is.
Yeah, still is.
Yes.
So that's why we would socialize, whoever is smoking and making a joke after a cup of tea, a soda here, we part company. And that's the time the colleagues amongst us would say, you see now, the three who are taking care of us from point A to here, they've gone back there, that one and that one. And then, as we part companies, new faces would reappear and split with our three groups. Yes. So for me, I was escorted
all the way home,
all the way to South Sea. And then somebody will just disappear.
And they're just there, I mean, they're
just there. Even when you sit down to socialize that, there are some who are very friendly. Say, mmemaliza kazi, habari ya kazi, ilikuwa mzuri, sawa sawa.
And many of them were and the press cards. They were pressmen. You go to a press conference,
they're there.
You see, you know one another. In any case, the media house, there are not many. So you see another one.
Yes.
He's a
Who is this
president.
person?
Who is this?
Who is this person?
And you know, obviously.
Thanks to Lane Giro and his people. But Lee, let me ask you this. Yeah. After former President Moi repealed Section 2A, remember that? You remember the years?
Yes, of course. I was at Kasarani.
I was at Kasarani.
I covered
on that day.
Motegi.
I was there.
Go on.
Yes.
First, set the stage for us, and then I'll ask Lee the question.
We went there on Friday. It was Kanu Delegates Conference at Kasarani. Everybody who spoke that day, they were not going to change the constitution. They were against
changing the constitution.
Yes. The whole Friday, Saturday morning, Moi comes in the afternoon, and he said, "Well, this is not actually. I've not seen it on record, and I hate it." He said, "Lakini maskini ni kitu baya, inaonekana lazima tubadilishe kitu." So when people say he agreed, it is because of pressure. Because of pressure, he said, "Umaskini." So,
but none of you knew this breaking news was going to happen, right? None of you knew.
No.
Because everyone was talking against.
It's after Moi came that everyone now said, you know, there's six
shocked. Okay, so Lee, back to my question. So after Section 2 was repealed, allowing for multi-party democracy, the coverage, did it change then? I mean, now they could cover the opposition.
First of all, Jeff, that year, I had gone for a small course in Britain. Part of my itinerary was Central Office of Information, London. I went to the Commonwealth, and then I went to Buckingham Palace, where I met my counterpart, Charles Anson, and his wife Clarissa. They were both born in Ithaca. Then I had a meeting with Bill Ingham, Margaret Thatcher's press secretary. Then I went to another office where I met a lady called Mary Robinson. But then the crucial meeting, I had for about 4 hours in the evening, taking substances which are not water, with the hand, of FCO, Foreign and Commonwealth Office. His name was Stuart Innes.
Okay.
Stuart Innes told me, go and tell Moi to repeal Section 2A. Because there may be no way of describing the mood now. But multipartyism, to quote him, is the mood of the times. Remember that time, Kaunda was having problems.
Yes, lots in Zambia.
In Zambia.
Yes.
He was having a lot of problems.
Correct.
Kamuzu Mbanda was also having a problem.
Malawi, yes.
So I was briefing Moi about my tour.
Your trip, yes.
I told him what I was told by Stuart Innes. I think that one might have contributed. I don't know. Because after that one, he repealed Section 2A.
And this Stuart Innes told you, Lee, go tell Moi that he has to
repeal Section 2A. So why? Because multipartyism is the mood of the times.
Of the day.
Now you ask a question.
Yes. Of the times.
Of the times, sure, correct.
You ask a question whether now there was freedom. Let me tell you the first casualty of that multipartyism. One, Emilio Moi Kibaki went to Mombasa and announced that he has resigned from KANU and he's forming his own DP. But there was one TV station called KTN, which was owned by Moi. And the reporter at that time was Rose, the news editor, Rose Lucalo. She wrote that story that Kibaki, actually broken news, Kibaki has resigned. Do you know what happened to Rose Lucalo? She has never seen the newspaper and newsroom since then. She was sacked immediately.
For breaking that news?
Yes.
That Mwai Kibaki had resigned as VP or health minister, whatever he was?
She has not been to any TV station.
Oh, lordy.
So you can see freedom didn't just come. And I can tell you many instances.
Yes.
Including mine.
What happened to yours?
It happened in a place called Burnt Forest.
Burnt Forest, yeah.
an aircraft was seen, that 1994, was seen flying over Mpati Forest. Soon after, there were clashes, so tribal clash. My reporter was called Kaneni. Kaneni wrote a story that there was a plane and there were clashes. Then two guys came to the nation, confirmed the same. They saw some aircraft
flying low,
and then there are clashes. Now, when that story was written by Kaneni, and the reporters I sent to talk to those two guys who came to the office. Soon after the story was published, I was told to go and record a statement at the CID Nairobi area. That story was inciting. It is insinuating that craft came to bring people
to fight.
So I went and I wrote a statement on a Friday. On Sunday, I was called by the CID boss in Nakuru. Can you come and clarify that statement?
In Nakuru?
In Nakuru. Can you come now? I said, no. I'm the news editor. I can only come tomorrow. Can you be there at 9 o'clock? I have to drive to Nakuru.
Yes.
9 o'clock is too early. So I got there at about 10 o'clock.
He was waiting?
He was not there. He had left instructions. He was not there. I stayed there up to 2. He didn't show up. Then Muite was then representing Koiko Amore. He took me, he come and talked to me. He told me, Montekija, let me buy you lunch because the way I see it, you're not getting out of here. Do you know what happened? I was arrested and charged with writing and inciting story. And I appeared in front, magistrate, very notorious, to Yoti, is now dead. I appeared before him, charged and remanded.
How long?
Muite came and pleaded for me. I slept on one end. The following day I was freed because he said my sister just died.
And in the end, the story?
The story was the charges were thrown after a month. I was reporting every Tuesday to Nakuru. Every Tuesday.
From Nairobi?
From Nairobi.
Driving. Lee.
Yes.
The stories about former President Moi being a dictator, being tough-fisted, being... Were they uncalled for? Were they wrong? Or how do you describe those stories when people talked about him as, last of the big men? I saw one story once.
A few years ago, when he retired, he went to preside over a graduation ceremony at Mount Kenya University in Thika. He answered that question. He said, I am not a dictator. I am a disciplinarian. What is the line between a disciplinarian and a dictator? Jeff, if you do not discipline yourself, do you know why you are one of the best known media personalities in Kenya? One is because of your discipline. Look at your turnout. A very smart guy. Look at your figure. You hit the gym every time. It is because you are a dictator unto yourself.
Discipline.
Discipline. Do you know why people have their gadgets cut off in Nyeri by their wife?
Transformers.
Yes. Do you know why?
Yeah.
Because they have no discipline. They go and drink and they are found collapsing in the ditches.
Yes.
Vomiting on themselves.
It's using from Nyeri.
You see?
Yes.
If some people, Jeff, cannot look after themselves, how difficult then it is to look after 45 million Kenyans.
But Jeff,
you see, people talk about Singapore, Korea, that they are far much ahead.
Then us, yeah.
They do not tell people that somebody like Lee Kuan Yew was a dictator.
Sure.
Benevolent dictator.
Is that what Moi was?
You cannot allow
Is that what Moi was?
Yes.
A benevolent dictator?
Yes, because he wanted something good out of Kenya.
Then why not Singapore? Why are you not like his couple? Let me ask you, the Stockholm discipline.
Their culture.
I know a friend of mine who was called Reverend Monday. We were in university together. He was a pastor of the PC's church. He wrote in his diary things and whatever he wrote in his private diary. Someone mentioned Nyayo. Do you know he was arrested and taken to court in the evening at 5 and jailed for 6 years?
For writing Nyayo on a piece of paper.
Whatever he wrote there.
Right.
That was private. Do you know 6 years he was jailed? That is not, was he indisciplined?
Sure.
He was that indisciplined?
Yeah.
Did you see Moi arresting him?
His system. Moi did not
Do you know where your son is now? If he goes and commits a crime in Italy, that is not you. Let me tell you, those people who do that, they want to spoil Moi's name. They breathe with their own lungs. Do they breathe with Moi's lungs?
Yeah, but then didn't they get the okay from the top? Come on, Lee. They got the okay.
They did not. They did not.
So they were rogue agents.
Rogue agents, yes. And there are many. There are many.
Yeah. I think
Go on, Yusuf.
I think to add to what Linjiro has just said, that Moi was a very disciplined person and therefore demanded the same unto the nation, was made even more adversarial to the citizen, because the Constitution, he used the Constitution properly. And the Constitution gave him those powers. The Constitution gave him those powers. Yeah. And you can combine the two. The Constitution is allowing this, and this is a muzee. Moi was a traditionalist.
Yes.
Plus, he was also an urban conservative. He went to school. He started sharing life with the Muzungu's Kitambo. He was a church elder. Yeah. At the same time, he was a very conservative African traditionalist.
But
in every way.
I think his problem started when there was a
Constitution.
coup.
But after the coup,
after the coup,
yes,
that's when
he used the Constitution properly.
That's when Moi had previously very popular.
Yes.
From 78, 79 to 81.
Yes. After 82. Lee, do you agree? Do you agree after the coup, the attempted coup, he changed?
Yeah, he changed.
Yes.
He changed.
Yeah.
You see, when you realize that the people are not reciprocating your goodness, you change the tack.
Or the people you trust the most betray you, if you will, yes?
Including one Jonjo, who was his friend. He was put under trouble.
Imagine, accused of being a traitor.
Yes, I listened to that inquiry throughout every day.
Modoga.
Yes.
Remember?
Yes. Cecil Miller.
Cecil Miller.
Yeah.
If the people you trust betray you, if they become traitors, you change the tack. Okay?
Yeah.
You change the gears.
Yeah. Was he disappointed then, Lee? Was he angry? Was he?
Listen. You have read Shakespeare?
Yes.
Julius Caesar?
Yes. Aide to Brute, the 12 senators who stabbed him in the
When he was stabbed by everybody else, it was okay for him.
Until Brutus.
Brutus is confident, red-haired man. He said, aide to Brute,
yes.
Even you, Brutus. Like now, Moi. If Muteki Jao stabbed him, and my brother here, Yusuf Wachira, he won't care. If Lee Jiro stabs Moi, he will turn back and say, even you, Jiro, that will kill me.
Sure.
Yeah. That was what happened. He had to change that. 82, Brutus. Even you, Brutus.
I see you've read some Shakespeare, my man.
I'm not a joke.
You went to a good school, Kazara.
Should we read some tweets?
Do you know who taught me?
Go on.
Christopher Frank Hampton.
Christopher Frank Hampton.
Let's move on.
Let's move on to the tweets. Lee, you're quoting Julius Shakespeare? William Shakespeare, Julius Caesar.
Baba means buffalo.
Blamio Njururi. Here he is.
With him.
He's on Twitter saying, Jeff, say hello to my former colleagues, Motegi Njao at Standard as my journalism pupil. Good
Lord. He taught me.
Washira, coach, At Nation, oh, Yusuf.
Yeah.
At Nation,
Limbo.
Lean Jiro,
Mbogo.
a.k.a. Bogo.
Buffalo.
At Ministry of Information, and Kangaroo School, Embu.
Kangaroo.
Sorry, Kangaroo, sorry.
School.
Kangaroo, my bad. Blame you. What is he doing now?
He's doing a lot of social media.
Is that right?
He has a magazine. He's anti-corruption. He's a crusader against corruption.
How old is he now?
70 plus.
He told me, I talked to him 2 days ago. He's now 72.
Yes.
Oh, that's good. That's
Yes.
not old. But he's digital, huh? I mean, he's
Yes,
switched on.
very social. He has a magazine.
Mutegi, how old are you? Do you know?
70.
Lee?
December was
I'm
70.
doing 71.
Nice. Young man?
54.
We're the same age, you and me. The same age. You look good, though.
Thank you.
Sella Cask. Come on, that's not your name. You can't have a name like Sella Cask. Okay, it's all right. Lean Jiru has worked so many years with the late Moi to a point, he looks like him.
Yes.
Great work, guys. Truly, he deserves a trophy for being loyal. You do deserve a trophy. You have been very loyal, huh? Are you ever going to write that book?
Yes. You see, I'm almost halfway. But when Mr. Moi fell ill in October last year, I had a kind of paralysis.
Yeah, writer's freeze, like
Yes,
writer's block.
yes. I got a writer's block.
Oh.
Yeah, I became lethargic.
Oh, yeah.
But now, after we inter him, I'll be reinvigorated. I'm going to write it very fast.
What's the working title?
I'll whisper to you when they leave. Now,
Yes.
when you buy me something which is not water,
This is not water.
I'll tell you.
I like that. Brown Sankale says, I remember I shook Mzee Moi's hand in 1998. I talked to him. He paid my high school fees in full. I have lost a father. And I'm sure there's many people who can relate to Brown Sankale, yeah? He paid so many school fees. He was very generous, wasn't he?
Very,
He was very generous. With school kids,
Yeah.
he would stop school
Yes,
kids
yes.
and then give them money. Or give
And even pay their school fees. Yes.
Reri Kenya says, these legends got wisdom. I'm a 90s baby. I can't really feel the Moi era because we never experienced it. But this sounds like good history. Yeah, there's 130 years of history among us. Nekesa Wasike Echakara. He said, Mutegi, expressing facts, but with a lot of humor. The show is so peaceful, despite the different thoughts between Mutegi and Jiro. That's right. We're civilized, right?
Yes.
David Ngure Nganga says, we know of Oxford dictionaries, encyclopedia, etc., but it's time to publish Lean Jiru's encyclopedia. The guy has super excellent memory, Jeff. That's the best trio ever. You do have a photographic memory, don't you? I mean, you remember like this Innis guy. Who the hell was he? But you remember, FCO London?
Yes.
Incredible. Okay, SMS says, Emmanuel Talam. He says, Lean Jiro is my hero. He trained me as an intern in the Presidential Press Service, and here I am, following in his footsteps as Director of Communications for the Deputy President. God bless him, and Mzee Moi's soul rest in peace. Talam,
I trained him.
you trained him, huh?
Yes.
Good journalist?
Yes, very
journalist?
good.
I also have somebody from my desk working with Talam.
Oh,
That is Rebecca Nduko and
Oh,
Martin
Rebecca.
Telewa.
they're on that team.
At the Nation.
Is that right?
Yes.
Brigadier Jebet.
Brigadier retired Chebet Naguru. He says, I agree with Lee that late President Moi was not less than 100 years old. My late dad was in Tampach and used to meet with Moi as he passed by on his way to Kapsabet in the 1940s. My heartfelt condolences to the family of my late CNC. You're right.
Yeah.
You nailed it there. Edith Luceno.
Yeah.
Was that the one?
Yeah.
Was that the one?
Yes.
No. I was privileged to work with those three veterans.
I worked with her.
Through Lean Jiro, I was honored to meet President Moi at State House, Nairobi. Yusuf Washira, great photographer. And yes, Mutegi Jao, great boss at NMG. Where is she now? Where's Edith?
She's doing consultants work.
Consultancy, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. Thank you, Edith.
And
Paul
we-
Mutua from Kitui says, Mutegi was my news editor when I joined Daily Nation in 1990. Goodness, you have trained a lot of people, huh?
yes.
He was a no-nonsense editor together with Catherine Gesheru. Did she go to the Star after that?
Yes.
Right?
From Nation she went to the Star.
Star, correct. But she was at the Star before, wasn't she, Pamela? Thank you. Njiru helped me in my stories about Moi. The two were my news pillars.
Thank you very much.
Wow. A lot of people thanking you guys. Dennis Chebitwe, there you go. Ask Lee, when is he publishing his diary, autobiography, memoirs?
Yes, very soon.
Is that?
Work in progress.
Pamela Sigi also says you were her boss.
Yes.
Good Lord. Is there anybody you didn't train other than me?
Yeah, she was an intern when she came.
Pamela Azigi was an intern.
Yeah.
So he was,
What about Washira Waroro? What was he?
He was my colleague from university. He found me at the Weekly Review.
Come on.
He found me. We were teaching how to write a story.
Teaching Washira?
Washira, yes.
No.
He didn't know. And
No.
Opanga, Nekwando Opanga. I was Peter Karithi.
Vitalis of
Yes.
Musebe.
Wow. Yes.
Vitalis of Musebe.
And Vitalis of Musebe. Yes.
All right. I asked you a question earlier on, and I'm going to ask you as we wind up, what you miss most about Moi. Let's start with you, Yusuf. What you will miss most?
If I talk about Moi, I would be talking about him when he was a president.
That's fine.
Because after he left the office, I had left the office too, the newsroom. So I can only talk about what I miss of him as
being
a
in
president.
office.
In the office. Well, during his tenure, there was this feeling in the country that we are secure. In terms of security, he was very firm, all the way from the chief.
Yeah.
The grip started from the chief.
Correct.
And there was no gap in between, all the way to the office of the president. I think that is remarkable, and I think it is healthy because it in a way it creates a disciplined citizenry by so doing. The other thing that was positive about his role in the office, he knew how to explain all sorts of issues, whether you're talking about girl child, whether you're talking about environment, whether you're talking about ozone layer. He knew how to put it in the layman's language, Kobisa. And he would also immediately turn the other side and present the same message.
That's a good point. Lee, before I ask you about your most, what you're going to miss most. When President Moi left office, remember? He was booed here at Uhuru Park. He got into that chopper, ended up in Kabarak.
Yes.
And then for the next 10, 15 years, he was there, but he wasn't quite there. He was out of the limelight. That's what I'm trying to say. Did he miss the presidency? Did he miss it when he was out in Kabarak?
Yes, he did. But he told me, when you are a father, even when you suffer, don't cry. Because if a father cries, the mother cries, the children will be disorganized. He did not show it, but I could realize he was missing it. This man had a core of steel. I personally suffered quite a lot. Where I was the boss, my word was law. Instant reaction if I wanted anything.
You get it.
I get it. I used to carry a briefcase with the document to reorganize the government. And whenever I entered KBC, they would tremble, asking Joe. They used to telephone each other, Gino has arrived.
No.
Do you know what used to happen?
What?
I used to go to their office. We would call me in the office, State House. At 6 in the morning, we would go through the document reshuffling the government. When it was about 2 hours or 1 hour to 1 p.m.,
Yes.
I would carry the briefcase and I would be given a lead car with a siren to clear the car so that the bulletin is not lit. So whenever KBC people, they saw me there with a briefcase, they used to telephone ministers. Nobody left the office.
Lean Jiru has arrived with a briefcase. There's a reshuffle about to happen.
With a ID car to clear the road for me. Do you know what? I was carrying an important document and nobody knew about it except Moi and me. Even the Comptroller of State House. Are you to put them in the list?
Even the head of civil service.
Even the head of civil service.
Didn't know.
Professor Mbivi, he came with a draft.
Yes.
Then Moi called me. He told me, has he gone?
Yes.
He has gone. Remove him. Put him.
Yes.
Secretary General, East African Community.
No.
Yes.
So when it was announced, he was shocked.
Even his phone was disconnected. His phone was disconnected.
He was removed.
And I was very happy. Because when he came there, I greeted him.
Yeah.
He refused to answer me. Yeah, so I was very happy. Instead of saying, when I don't like you, I don't say you have been relieved of your duties.
Right.
I say you have been sacked.
So you feared him when he came. I mean, it was everybody feared when this man walked into KBC.
There is also when he makes a certain speech, when he starts talking about something that is out of the program.
Off the cuff.
One time, I almost fainted. Throughout my career in journalism, I've covered all sorts of, very scary situations. But this particular one was from Moi. Kalonzo Musyoka, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, I think was Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. And somehow he didn't like something that our parliamentary reporters had written. So he put up...
He had an issue with the nation also because we unsacked his brother.
Yeah,
His brother used to be a personal manager. And
yes. And therefore...
He'd been sacked.
And yes. So he had an issue with the nation.
So he threw our parliamentary team out. And for a long time we were in the cold. Then one day, I think our late editor-in-chief, George Mbugus, God rest his soul in peace, I think he had a tip that we might be allowed back through President Moi's kindness. So what he did was, the central bank normally has an annual luncheon for the board members when they meet and review the business at work. So the boss says, Yusuf and our senior business reporter, Peter Warutere, off to Central Bank, but incognito. Don't really shout. You might be allowed, or you might be arrested. But just be there. You don't question, of course. So we go. My senior business reporter Warutere joins the invited guests, and me I keep with the camera crew, the presidential press guys and Standard and the rest. So it came time, the only time we can take pictures. There are two opportunities you have to take pictures during that function. One, him at the boardroom with the governor of Central Bank, and the other one, when he's now addressing and launching new notes, because that's the only time.
Or receiving the
new notes.
Profit.
Yes, the profit report. Yes. Correct. So those two opportunities. So but the one receiving or giving, it's later. So the first function is the Central Bank governor and the board. So we went to the boardroom. And then after the meeting, we've taken the picture, he came out. And from Blues, a pack of cameramen there, and Linjiro's guys are there. And he asked, kutoka kwenu hapa nani kutoka nation? And you know what? All my colleagues walked away from me.
They melted in the background.
In the background.
And they left you
and
exposed.
I left, yes, and exposed, and I, for the first time in my life in journalism, I got so scared because...
Where was Warutere?
Warutere is with the guests. We're in the boardroom.
You're alone now.
Yeah,
it's
alone.
You.
He can't even cover my my arrest. So it's nani kutoka nation, and my colleagues disappear, and my throat goes dry. And what do I do? What do I tell Mzee? Do I admit? Yes. If you don't admit insubordination, if you admit insubordination,
you're damned if you do.
So I decided the best is just die saying it. So I held my camera like that and I bowed. Ni mimi mzee. And of course he knew. He just wanted to look general.
Yes.
So, ni mimi mzee. But, and he looked at the Cheserek, the governor of Central Bank. Yeah, Cheserem.
Yes.
Thank you. And told him, bas, siku hizi kwa tabia mzuri naweza rudi tu. And I almost again fainted. Because this is a melodrama.
Yes.
And then, as a journalist, my first work is to tell my boss, we are going back to Parliament. And we have no communication, the ones you have these days. For me to tell Peter Arotere, we've been readmitted.
Yes.
And I managed to run out. They were using a lift. I decided to take a stair.
All the way down.
All the way down. And I told Arotere, please just go to the office. Leave me.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you in a moment.
Yes.
What you will miss most, Mutegi? What you will miss most?
What I will miss most about Moi is what Wachira said. He was a president. You see? He was active. He gave us work. See, for instance, he started in Kenya Times, gave journalists jobs,
KTN.
Standard, KTN. That was good for him. But most important, he was a real president. He made trips all over the world, all over Kenya, all over. I saw places I couldn't see. When other presidents came, like Kibaki, they were stationary. You couldn't go nowhere. you couldn't even go to sit out.
Cutting cost.
Yes.
Economist.
So Moi was effective and active, and except for all those the other things. But he was a real president. And nobody could say nonsense. But like I hear people say,
Yeah.
You know, people told
They're
Kibaki.
telling the president
Yes.
Yes.
You can't tell Moi that. He was a real president.
He's a real president.
Yeah.
Lee, you get the last word. You get the last word. What will you miss most?
First of all, I do not want to say what is ordinary. I will say something which many people do not know. Moi has got a unique way of passing messages in a very strong manner. For example, I'll tell you two instances. The late Professor Jonathan Ngeno was Minister for Basic Education.
Yes, education.
We were going to Karai. And before we went to Karai, it was about midday. He took something ill about Angaine. He said, Mzee, this Angaine is an old man. Why does he need the politics for? If I was his age, I would retire. So Moi called me aside. He told me, I want you to announce now that I have appointed Angaine to be a Minister of State in my office.
That was 79.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, Moi told me, tell Professor Ngeno to come. So he put Ngeno in his combi and myself and security. We went to Karai to inspect some projects. We came after 1 p.m. So Ngeno was told, Angaine has been appointed minister. He almost collapsed. Now, because you see, Moi was an old man. Angaine is an old man. Now, why do you insult that old man and a most old? Now,
Okay.
last year, there's somebody who was trying to bother me. Moi wanted to pass a message to that person. Do you know what he did? He called his nephew, who is also his driver, and he told him, this goat, take to Lee Njiro, he is my friend. I want him to eat it and enjoy. He wanted that man to pass the message to his uncle. When he realized that this guy was not getting the message, he sent him with another goat. But because the person is a fool, he
wasn't getting the message.
Yeah, he's got a very funny way of passing messages. Yeah. I remember him for that. Moi, when he trusts you and stands you for 5 years and makes his mind that you are a good person, nobody will play with you. He will protect you.
I was.
But
like the apple of his eye.
But he also demands the trust.
Yeah.
He demands the trust.
And he trusted you.
Yes. He trusted.
By the way, he had the most scary look. You know that?
Yeah.
He had the most scary look. I mean, Jomo Kenyatta had a scary look. Moi. Kai.
But you do not have to fear your boss. Understand him. Moi, punctuality.
Yes.
You know why sometimes he liked me? Because I never wrote what Moi said. I wrote what he meant.
Yeah.
Oh, so now you can read minds.
Oh, yes.
Are you a mind reader?
It's true or false?
Is that true? That's true.
For example, if he goes through Utalii College and then says, this is the best college in the world. I want you to work hard. This is the best college in the world. You cannot write that one because his knowledge will be questioned. You write what he means. He said Utalii College was an important institution in the tourism industry. That is what he meant.
In fact, to support what Jero is saying, to support,
I don't get it.
we in newspapers,
Yes.
we present reports.
True.
But before we read the report from the PPA,
Yes. PPS.
we have to compare what we wrote and them. Then what prevails is what right.
It's what I wrote.
Yes. Yes.
Because I wrote what Moi meant. I never wrote what he said. For example, if he goes to Mangu High School during national examination,
Yes.
and he tells them, you Mangu students, I wish you well. I wish you success for the coming national examinations. If I write that one, I'll be sacked.
Why?
No, I'll write, he wished all the students in Kenya. That's what he meant. Why do you particularize?
Why focus on
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
PR?
Yes, because you see, I am not supposed to be a reporter. I'm supposed to be reporter public relations officer.
Relation of science.
Yes.
So it's not just the Mangu boys.
No.
Yes.
It's all the students.
Because you see, do you expect him to go to Meru School, to Shimolatewa,
I see.
to Homa Bay High School,
I had
to Taranganya High in Kuria?
I had to operate along the same path.
Okay, that's too much for me. No wonder you stayed there for 42 years, man.
Jeff.
Okay. Try and interpret this, okay? Thank you so much for being a part of Jeff Koinange Live. Remember, those 3 letters on the keyboard that follow each other, JKL. Interpret that. No, don't. 100 years of history, folks, right here with these 3 amazing gentlemen. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Motegi Ndao, Linjiru, and Yusuf Washira. Doesn't get any better than that. Thank you for joining us. And to the family of former President Daniel Arap Moi, our thoughts and prayers with you at this time. Again, national funeral will be Tuesday at Nyayo Stadium, named after the man. And then the burial in Kabarak next Wednesday, February the 12th, a week from today. Thanks so much for being a part of the show. Good night. Good luck. God bless you all. We won that book.
Yes.
And you are looking a lot more like him. Even the more we look at you, the more you look like him.
Okay. I agree. And those are just the looks.